Hey, what's up you guys? Today I'm breaking down 10 financial lessons that have completely changed my life. All of these I've learned from making mistakes myself or from learning them from others. Hopefully guys, I can save you some time and some money. Let's get into it. The first one's gonna be trading your time for experience and not money. This is gonna be kind of my golden nugget, especially when you're getting into everything. So the way that I've made this list actually is built around starting with kind of lower income, and then as your income progresses, implementing more of these money tactics. So this first one is going to be, instead of trying to trade your time for money, trade your time for experience to eventually get more money. When I was just getting out into this entrepreneurship range, I was about 19. If I was to go to work anywhere, I was going to be making around $15 to max about $20 an hour, and that was just about any sort of regular job. If you're just getting started and saying, I want to make an extra income, I already have a job, I have an additional 20 hours a week, what majority of people are going to do is they're going to follow the easiest avenue towards money immediately. So that's stuff like Uber Eats or just getting a second job, something to where you could say, I'm just going to trade my manual labor hours. I at least am an extra body, and I can basically give my body as a skill set to essentially take things from point A to point B, or I can at least follow a set of directions. That's what most people jump directly into. But instead, I want you guys to take a step back of saying, okay, before I jump into getting a second income or I want to make more money, what's just out there? Instead, wait a few weeks. Each person makes about $18 an hour. Now, all right, we can subtract, how much gas is and, whatever, all that. But yeah, $18 an hour, you're going to make about, if let's say you're working an extra 20 hours a week, you're going to make about $1,400 a month extra. That's great. Like that's a good amount of money. But that in total is working around like 80 hours. Suggesting is, hey, let's take those 80 hours and put it somewhere else first. Instead of going directly to Uber Eats or the second income, what can we learn? What can we, be educated on? Who can we work for free behind? Who can we be mentored from? And instead, take those 80 hours to hopefully learn a different skill. Again, you're going to be trading the time that you kind of aren't being paid for already. This is unused time in your life. This is the Netflix time. This is the chill time. This is, hanging out with friends time. This is extra time that you are not being compensated for. When you are getting started, understand that your most valuable and honestly one of your only assets is going to be your time. That is the leverage that you have. So if you can use that time properly, then that's going to really, really help you in the long run. Okay, the next one, I really hope everybody has seen this. And if you haven't seen this, honestly, your life is about to be changed. Take a look at this graph right here. Do you see what compound interest does? This is what's called a mutual fund calculator. It's really easy to see how when you start earlier, it just dramatically helps you in the long run. That if you just invested $100 per month starting at the age of 20, by the time you're 60, you're going to be a millionaire. Super easy math, super basic, but the more young people that see this, the better. Number 3 is that Dave Ramsey is right for the majority of people. Now, I'm actually going to get a pretty good amount of heat for this because a lot of people that are watching are going to be like, Dave Ramsey is a scam. You need to be putting your money in different places. And then I'm going to have a lot of people that are Dave Ramsey diehards, and they're saying this is the way that you need to live. Here's my personal note, is that Dave Ramsey is right for the majority of people in all reality. Here's the facts, is that 57% of Americans cannot afford a $1,000 emergency. And the average overall savings account average American has saved in their checking account is about $5,000. So yes, the old Dave Ramsey said, yes, you need to put 20% down on a house when you were originally buying it. All right, for the majority of people, like that's just not possible. Completely get it. Like I remember there was like a back and forth a little bit with my parents because when my sister and I had bought this house, I had just gone through the chef buyout. And I think we ended up just putting down like 5%. If you're watching this video right now, you're most likely a little bit different. As in, okay, you are looking to invest, you are looking to save your money, you're looking for financial tips, financial education, but do not put yourself into the majority. Understand that the majority of people, the majority of Americans do not think like you. The number 4 financial tip, and this is actually going to be your greatest and most important investment, that is going to be your health. The busiest people are the ones that people need most. So if you're extremely busy and you don't have time to work out, think about if, let's say you go down, you get very sick, what happens to your loved ones? What happens to those people around you? Like, do you know what happened when growing up, my mom got sick? Like for like a week or two, it was just chaos in the household. Nobody knew how to function. And luckily both of my parents are very healthy, but when one of them went down, things did not operate properly. So understand that the greatest asset that you have to provide is your ability to help others. It's your value to others. But also understand that this works in the opposite effect, that you can also be the greatest liability of others if you're not healthy. You can have the biggest heart in the world and you can just want to help so many people. But if you can't get out of bed or you have no energy to, well, and not only that, you probably are going to have other people that have to take time out of their day to help you. Like, there's absolutely no way I would be in the position that I am currently if I did not take care of myself. And again, I'm not talking about peak physical fitness. Like, nobody is over here, doing Ironmans or doing like bodybuilding competition. I'm talking about, can you work out 3 times a week and can you eat 90% healthy? The final aspect of kind of the basic ones before we get to the nitty gritty of like really once you're scaling in some revenue is actually going to be tracking your expense. I swear, I wish people did this every month. Like, it is entirely worth 30 minutes to sit down and see exactly what you spent money on. I'm not even telling you to make a budget. You don't even have to make a budget. Just sit down and see, where did I put my money this month? Did it go to food? Did it go to, gas? Like, a good example for me is, I think of myself as a pretty frugal person. I pay for my car, I got gas, I got groceries. I really don't buy too many clothes. That's why you see me wear this shirt like 4 times in videos. I, on average, was spending like $150 a month for celebrations, birthday presents, or Christmas, or, any little things. And I never factored that into my budget. So there's gonna be a lot of things that you don't even think about what you're spending your money on. Okay, so now we're getting into kind of like the rich people advice that I would say. All of this has been taken from like actual like really high-end business people that I've learned from and either read books from or podcasts. So the first one is actually creating high income skills for yourself as a financial piece of advice. That the Dave Ramsey method, I completely get, but that saving on that Starbucks drink is not gonna make or break if I'm gonna get to 10, 20 million, whatever that goal is. That Starbucks drink, not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. And there are a lot of people that are known for like how to create high income skills. I don't know if anybody does it any better than Alex Hormozi, who does it really, really well, and I would really suggest checking out his stuff. But we're gonna use me as an example. My original skill set was photography. Like, that was the thing that I was diving into. I was gonna become a full-time photographer. I loved it, I enjoyed it. That was what I was gonna be. I was gonna be Andy Varnes, the photographer. If I had stayed on the path of Andy Varnes, the photographer, let's say I get to the point to where I was charging $400-500 per hour, at working as a photographer. Like, that's a pretty awesome rate. Like, that is above industry standard. I'm probably gonna cap out at about 150 grand a year. Very solid, livable income. But instead, what I did was I added skills to it. So I started as photography. Well, then I learned how to hire and manage people. So then suddenly it was Andy Varnes Photography and team. So I had a team now. That was one of my first skill sets, was being able to hire talent under me. The next skill set I learned to do was, all right, now I got this team, I need to get more work. So instead of Andy trading my time for money, very much as the majority of photographers they're doing, is I said, okay, I just need to go get the work and I can begin to send out my team. That way it doesn't have to necessarily be me all the time. And then as you grow, you learn things like accounting and how to save on taxes and even more in-depth versions of marketing. Build websites better and sales funnels. And it's this never-ending rabbit hole of skill sets that you can tacking on to increase that revenue ceiling. So where I got started, the ceiling, the greatest I could ever get to was about 150K. Where I am now, a few years later, it's essentially an unlimited ceiling because I've been able to learn high income skill set. This next one I'm going to take from Kevin O'Leary, and he actually was one of the first people that kind of like brought a light bulb in my head when it came to buying things. But he talked about buying nice things, and he gave the example of his mom. Instead of buying a lot of clothes throughout the year, she would basically spend all of her, I guess, budget that she had for her clothes on like 2 or 3 nice Coco Chanel dresses. So instead of having 15 dresses, she had 3, and she would only wear those 3. But those dresses lasted for decades. And after this lesson, I remember selling my first company, and one thing that I did was with, some of my payout was I took it and I went to a custom clothier, and I got fitted for some nice suits, nice dress pants and nice dress shirts, and that I could wear for years and years and years, as long as essentially I, stay this size, which I hope I do. By the way, if you're in Jacksonville, El Gerard, absolutely fantastic products, little shout out there. But what I've noticed is that I take care of those clothes a lot more because they were honestly a lot more expensive, as well as just the quality overall is just so much better. And I want to make sure I take care of it for the long term because I want to wear it, for years and years and years. So when you are purchasing, don't buy a bunch of stuff. Instead, buy nice stuff, but just buy less of it. I'm not the biggest for like designer stuff, but there's a reason that Louis Vuitton bags last for decades. There's just a reason to where if you buy one handbag, you theoretically can literally just go the rest of your life without needing another one. The next one I'm going to take honestly from my personal experience of a decision that I made. And I took a little bit of heat for it, but to this day I'm so thankful of the decision that I made. And that is playing it safe means you can actually be way, way riskier. So when I sold the first company, the chef company, I essentially was given a payout. And I had a decision to make of what I wanted to do with all this money. When I sold, I was 24 years old. I'm 25 now. And what I did with probably over 80% of it was I honestly put it into a bunch of long-term assets. I put it into, retirement funds. I put it into life insurance. I put it into, real estate, stuff like this. And it kind of like brought me back to kind of like back to square one to where like I wasn't going to be balling, or anything like that anytime soon because I as soon as I got the money, I kind of put most of it away knowing that I'm not going to touch it for years and years. And I had a lot of people say that I was dumb to do this, but this is the reason why I decided to do this, was that essentially at 24 years old, I could essentially take care of myself for the rest of my life. By playing it safe on the front end, I can now be risky for essentially the rest of my life if I wanted to. That at the age of 24, old Andy is entirely taken care of. If I never want to invest again, I can literally just, work a regular job, just spend all the money I want, and just like, if I make 100 grand, I spend 100 grand, never invest the money, and I can just let that sit, let that grow, and it's gonna be in that 10 to 20 million range. And why is that? Because of, that the compound interest lesson, which was the second lesson we talked about, of when you do it early, it takes care of you really, really well late. So luckily, I've had some success before, the age of 25, and instead of just rolling that into the next business, and yes, I could have taken that money and it could have been uber successful, and the opportunity cost is definitely there. But in my opinion, the peace of mind of me knowing that, hey, I can jump from startup to startup and follow my dream and make a few, home run swings. And if I strike out, it's okay because, in the long run, I'm going to be fine as well as my family's going to be fine. The peace of mind is entirely worth it. The ninth one, guys, it comes from Dan Martell. And guys, if you do not follow his social media or YouTube channel, you guys really, really should. His content is absolutely amazing, especially if you're a growing business owner. But it is buying back your time, and it quite literally is copy and pasted from his book, Buy Back Your Time. And essentially what this entire book is about, and again, please go read it, but it talks about as your income scales, you essentially are putting people and resources into place for you to buy back your time. So a good example is I hate doing yard work. I'm terrible at it. My mom fired me from doing our yard in high school. I'm that bad at it. I 100% going to outsource someone to do my yard every week instead of me spending 2 hours a week working on it. And I feel like that's very, very acceptable for people, outsourcing their yard. People are okay with that, but they're not okay with outsourcing it to have their meals prepped or their clothes washed and folded. So there's tiers to it of, as your income progresses, you begin to kind of automate aspects of your life that's kind of sucking away some of this time. But here's the caveat to this, is that the purpose of you outsourcing a lot of these aspects isn't for you to actually just waste time not doing anything and say, oh, I could just kind of sit on my butt all day. No, it's for you to actually take that time that you're saving and putting it into like those high income skills and learning new things and looking to push your business forward. If you're not taking that time and maximizing it and putting it into productive tasks, well, not only are you wasting time, but now you're also just wasting money. Now, here's the final piece of advice that I want to leave with you guys. And it makes people uncomfortable, but it's really, really important. Charlie Munger, he absolutely said it best, and he said it in the most eloquent way. And that is going to be leverage, liquor, and ladies. Understand that those three are going to be your biggest obstacles to overcome. Not who the president is, not the stock market, not bad business partners. You are going to be your own worst enemy if you get in your own way of success. Just remember how much time, money, resources, and overall opportunities are you going to waste on whatever that vice of yours is. The other 9 don't matter if you cannot control yourself. But I'm just trying to give you guys value from the knowledge that I've gained from other people in my life that I've learned from, as well as the mistakes I've made. I'm just a few steps ahead of you guys. If you got value out of this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.